Okay, today we're going to tie the Truform Hendrickson Mayfly. This fly was designed by Paul Weamer. He did a lot of research on the how mayflies float on the water while he was guiding on the Delaware River, and he created this special type of hook. So after we put the hook in the vise, put our thread on, we will bring our thread to the bend of the hook. The bend of the hook is always lined up to where the barb is. So here we'll put a couple of wraps in here. This is where we're going to start with the tail first. We're going to take one microfibett. These are look almost like paintbrush bristles. We're going to measure it to be about as long as the shank of the hook, and then we're going to secure one of them right at the bend of the hook. And then trim the excess off. Now we're going to dub a ball of dubbing fur right at the bend of the hook. This is going to help separate the other two microfibetts that are going to be tied in at the bend of the hook. And like I said, very small, just a nice ball. Now we'll take two microfibetts, making sure that they're as long as the one that's already tied on, and we'll tie them right by the ball of fur. That's going to separate the two. So I'll just take the other one and tie it on the other side, and tie this one on this side, making sure that I get three, one on each side of the fur. And then trim the excess off. Now I'm going to dub the body. Now it gets tapered as we go towards the eye of the hook, so we're just doing this on the bend of the hook. Now Paul had these hooks designed for when he saw how the mayflies rode on the water. Not all of them just lied flat. They had a kind of a canter to them. He also, you can bend the hook to this shape, but as you know, when you start bending hooks, you do run a risk of metal fatigue. So we're just going to taper this going upwards. Now using the red thread, as this pinkish dubbing gets wet, the red will kind of show through. And if anybody has ever watched me, less is always more when I dub, so we want to make sure that it's a nice tight body, and we're making it go up towards the bend of that hook shank. Just a little more, just to get past the bend in the hook. Now we'll get ready to tie the wing. Now we're going to take 2 or 3 CDC Feathers and line up the tips, and we're going to put them in as the wing right at the where we stop tying in the fur, and usually it's about as long as the shank of the hook. And I'm going to tie these right where I stopped the fur, the body, secure them in place, and cut the butts. And tie them down. Now I'm going to lift the feathers up, the wing up. I'm going to put a couple of wraps behind it. And I'm going to put a couple of wraps around the base so that they stand straight up. I really don't want them to stand straight up. I just want them to look like a, just make sure you don't get your tail put in there, but just put them underneath. Here, grab them all forward, put a couple of wraps right behind the wing. Now I'm going to take a little dubbing and I'm going to put it behind the wing and in front of the wing and around the wing so that it'll stand up. So there is the wing. Now I want you to turn the fly upside down. Now the trick to this fly is having the wing post on the bottom and tying a parachute on the bottom of the fly. So I'm going to take some Antron yarn and I'm going to secure it under the fly. Going to take both of them up, pull them up, and I'm going to create a wing post underneath the fly. This is where the parachute is going to be wrapped under the fly. And we'll trim this to, just trim it just to make it easier to look at, but it's going to get trimmed again after the hackle is added. Next I'm going to tie in the hackle on the far side like we tied some parachutes, clink hammer style. So I'm tying this on the far side, securing the stem to the bend of the hook, but I'm going to lift the feather up and attach the feather to the post. Put a couple of wraps behind it and then cut the stem. Next, I'm going to dub the rest of the thorax area in front and behind the wing, and also around the wing. So here we go, build this up. Let's get some more dubbing fur on here so I can finish this off here in front, and I want to wrap around and get my thread ready. Now I'll take my hackle pliers and I will wrap makes it a little difficult. I remember I have a video camera between me and my tying, so what I want to do is get as many wraps as possible. The shiny side is facing upwards and the dull side down, so when this lands, the cupping of the feather will help with the water. So now I got there. I'm going to take my thread and I'm going to go underneath all the wraps. That is now secure. Then I'll take my scissor and cut the hackle off. Then I will take my whip finishing tool and I'm going to whip finish it underneath the wing post. And trim that off. Then I'm going to take the wing post and trim it. And then what you want to do is just put a drop of head cement right where the post was. Let that just soak in. And rotate it back, and that is the fly as it looks completed.